guys, welcome back to another night of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. Thank you for joining us once again. It's a very exciting episode. We're going to be announcing a new mug, a new official Search for Tiki mug in the Cats vs. Tiki Icon series. And as always, we are sponsored by Plantation Rum. We could not do 13 Nights of Tiki Frights without their sponsorship of our cocktails, our daily mug giveaways, and just the show overall. We're also sponsored by Tiki Farm, the world's largest manufacturer of high-end cocktail mugs. Holden Westland was on the show earlier this month. Amazing company, some of the best mugs in the industry, and they've been doing it 20 years. Go back, check out that video, watch our video with Tiki Farm and Holden Westland. They've been a big support of the Search for Tiki since day one. And then also we are sponsored by Dawn the Beachcomber. Dawn the Beachcomber, the official Dawn the Beachcomber, is coming back in a big way to Florida. They've announced a phased opening of multiple locations in Florida and beyond over the next couple of years. And we had a chance to talk to Marie King earlier this month as well about what Dawn the Beachcomber looks like going forward in the future. Obviously, it's an iconic brand, and we wouldn't be here doing this show tonight if it weren't for Dawn Beach. So super excited to see them come back. We're also going to be giving away a cocktail mug. This cocktail mug was made by LowTiki's, and LowTiki's, Sam, is going to be joining us as our special guest tonight as well. We're super excited to talk to her. She just finished her first year in ceramic cocktail mug making. So we're going to talk to her about what that journey has been like, why she got into it, so on and so forth. With that said, guys, I want to get talking to Sam right away, and let's bring her in. How's it going? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. I'm excited and nervous to do this.
Oh, yeah. Me too. It's not my, it's weird because it's not my favorite thing, but I push myself to do it. And this is the fourth year. So
cool.
But
Okay.
I get to talk to all kinds of cool artists like you. So
how exciting for me.
Yes. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're from the Pacific Northwest. That's where you're based out of?
Yeah, we are in Washington. So I love this area. I'm a big woods person. We like to mushroom hunt. And yeah.
All
so
right.
I love the area.
You're in Twilight Land.
Yeah. Not quite.
Just outside Forks, Washington.
Yeah, we're actually in more of a desert area. Not a lot of people know this, but Washington has like a high desert. But we're just like a couple hour drive from everywhere. So it's a good location.
Is that caused by the mountains, like stopping the rain?
Yeah, so there's several different like mountain ranges, and then we're just kind of like in the middle in the Columbia Basin Valley. It's big wine country. So a lot of winos.
Nice. So the Pacific Northwest is the one, with the exception of Chicago, the one I would say tiki mecca in the United States that I have not yet had a chance to experience.
Oh, really?
What's the tiki scene in the Pacific Northwest like?
I'm kind of a hermit, so it's my house mostly. But we are over in the Portland area quite a bit. We're big fans of Hill Pale. It's nice and small. The drinks are always really good. It's just like a great atmosphere there. I think we're going to go check out Devil's Reef next weekend. And then for my birthday, which is the weekend after, we're going to be in Astoria at Dead Man's Isle.
Nice. I'm actually, I guess I should be drinking out of a LowTiki mug, but it's kind of fitting. It's kind of fitting. Our friends over at Monk Tiki, this is one of my favorite mugs.
So that's a great one.
Yeah. But shout out to Dead Man's Isle and the Monk Tiki team. They always rock it.
Yeah. No, I've actually never made it into the bar yet, so we're really excited to be able to.
In fairness, they haven't been open that long.
That is true.
It was a long time coming, and then there was a pandemic in there somewhere.
Yeah, we got to peek in a couple times because we'll go into their storefront every so often. But it looks really rad. I'm excited to check it out.
How was the? I think you went the final voyage of TikiCon.
It was cool. It was my first time doing an event, and my first time vending. Also, I didn't really do any of the stuff involved with TikiCon because we were so busy with like vending, and then
that's the hard part, right? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of fun to vend, but it means you can't really do any of the other tiki stuff.
There was a talk. I think Van Tiki was doing. We were trying to get to, but we ended up just getting a little too busy. But it was a lot of fun. Everyone was really nice, and I enjoyed it. It's sad that it was, the last year there was rumors about other people taking it over, or the guys who are currently doing it maybe continuing, but in a different form or something. So I guess we'll wait and see.
So there are talks. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, there was lots of talks. So who knows what's real and what's not, But I would love to see someone take it over.
There's definitely a lot of, it seems, I mean, I haven't been there, but it seems like there's a big tiki following. You guys got, the Monk Tiki team out there. You've got Halle Pele. You've got, what is it? The H.P. Lovecraft themed one. Isn't that up there in the Pacific Northwest?
Oh God, there was an H.P.
Devil's Reef.
Yeah, Devil's Reef is in Tacoma. Portland also has the Alibi. There was a goth bar in Portland called the Lovecraft, but I think they changed names.
Okay.
Not tiki themed.
Not tiki themed.
No.
But still cool, perhaps.
It was a really fun place.
So, what was how did you get into just tiki culture in general?
My husband and my mother-in-law were big into like collecting and whatnot, and she makes really good like syrups, and my husband makes really good drinks. And so when we met and first started dating, like he kind of pulled me into all of that. I've always been really big into like vintage stuff, and so I immediately liked going after the older mugs, specifically anything made in Japan. So that's kind of, where I like to hang. Like if it's an older mug or somewhere I've been is usually what I will get. But every once in a while there's another mug that like catches my eye. But we definitely do collect.
I maybe could have guessed that, not knowing much about you, but looking at your mugs, that you'd be into mugs made in Japan.
Yeah.
You have an obsession with Japanese culture? Where does that come from?
My mom was raised in Japan. She lived in Osaka. They came over to San Francisco in the 70s, I believe. She passed away when I was a kid, but I have all these great stories and all these fun things that, my mom and my grandmother brought over to the States. And I guess it's always just kind of, with memories and stories and, family heirlooms and stuff. So I love the, I guess it's also a mid-century thing does it, but the Japanese culture does it where they still try to make functional things beautiful. And I just really appreciate that, So.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit further removed. I didn't have anyone, directly in my family from Japan, but I think there's something just incredibly alluring about their culture in particular.
Yeah.
And once you kind of go down that rabbit hole, similar to Tiki's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
As soon as you start getting into Japanese art, that's a whole other kettle of fish, but strangely adjacent in some ways.
It really is, it's to me especially, like tiki culture is such an amalgamation of so many different cultures, especially within the US. Chinese restaurants, when they saw tiki bars kind of serving the drinks they already were and serving kind of Americanized versions of Cantonese foods, they were like, well, we're already serving this food, like let's start serving the drinks too. And so you get a lot of, Chinese culture, you get a lot of Japanese culture. Just, I think that's what's so appealing. It's tons of different cultures, things that people saw where they had been that to them were exotic or beautiful, and then they brought it all back home and tried to recreate it. And I think that's fantastic.
I agree. Are there some ways, we're going to look at some of your mugs later on, but are there any ways that you've maybe combined the Japanese art with your hometown Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, a lot. It's you know, I guess I get a lot going out. You know, we like to mushroom hunt. We spend a lot of time at the coast. I spend a lot of time in Hawaii with my auntie. So it's kind of a little bit of everywhere, but it's, you know, of course my surroundings.
Pulling from here, pulling from there, you know, combining them into
everywhere. Yeah.
That's cool. I'm obsessed with the yokai. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, you are. That's my favorite too.
How would you, so for people that don't know yokai, how would you describe it to them?
Oh, it's there's so much.
We'll pull up some photos to kind of, because it's really hard to understand yokai without like looking at it.
Yeah, seeing a lot of the old, you know, prints of it. You know, it's so vast. So, you know, my favorite aspect of it is basically if an item, say an umbrella or a lantern or a cane, an item lives, you know, has a life of 100 years, they say it gains a soul. And once it gains its soul, then it starts to, you know, it'll grow legs and a mouth and an eye or 2 eyes, and then become kind of a mischievous, I guess, ghost for a lack of better term, but, you know, it's items with spirits. But it also, you know, it's not just items. There's a lot of local ghost stories, you know, in different areas that are kind of passed down, you know, and retold and retold. And in the Edo period, it was really popular to just have ghost telling stories. And so there are artists who wrote books and just made ghost stories. And some of them were things that had been, you know, told over time and time. And others were literally just, they just made it up and told their new stories. And then they gained a life of their own. You know, and sometimes it'll be a story of a historical event. But especially murders, things like that, any sort of very violent death, a lot of times they will just assign spirit to that situation. It's very fascinating.
Anything that maybe can't necessarily be explained easily.
Yeah.
I do think that, so Japan was kind of closed off from the rest of the world for a very long time.
Yes.
They did not like influence from other countries. And so they were able to kind of create art in their own bubble over many, many, many years. And I think that's one of the reasons why their art is so distinct. Particularly if you're looking at like Hakusai. Hakusai has the wave, and that has some Western influence because that was coming out right around the same time as Western influence was allowed. But his early stuff was very much not like that. And a lot of the Japanese art is just so weird compared to what we have here that it's just, I don't know, it sticks with you.
Yeah, it definitely, there's something, because a lot of times the forms are so simple, you know, woodblock prints and things like that, but there's so much information and it's just really beautiful. You know, so much of our architecture here in the U.S. has been inspired even by, you know, Japanese architecture and things like that. It's amazing how much, you know, they began to borrow from us and we began to borrow from them. So
it's crazy once you open those floodgates, how things happen. You know, and it just kind of blows your mind when you see something new. And, you know, I think that's probably part of the appeal of Tiki too, in that it's just, you know, it's different than what we're used to. So it's appealing.
Yeah, there's that escapism that's always appealing. It's something new, you know, but familiar at the same time because we see those images and forms so often.
Give me the beach. Give me the beach.
Yeah.
So when did you? So you are obsessed with Japanese culture and tiki culture. Before you made mugs, you did black velvets. How did you
Yes.
get into black velvets?
Um, I really love just kind of gaudy art. My whole house is filled with things, very bright colors, and I'd been gifted several like velvet paintings, and there was just, I guess, velvets that I wanted, but I wasn't seeing anywhere. And
Okay.
I have a background in painting, and so I was like, I'll just make them, like I can do this. And so I started experimenting small at first. So there's lots of people out there that have my very tiny velvets that I did while I was kind of first learning, and it just kind of went from there.
A lot of artists do not like black velvets.
I know.
It's incredibly frustrating for those people watching that don't know how black velvets are made. How is it different than just regular painting?
Oh God. You're dealing with the texture of the velvet as you're painting. So you have to be really aware of how your strokes are going. Whereas with just if you're painting on a regular gessoed canvas, you can kind of move however you want. But
Yep.
you move in the wrong direction with a velvet, it muddies the flow of it completely. And you're also you're working with more your negative space and like adding on to that.
Okay.
It can be very frustrating, but
is there any coming back from a mistake on a black velvet?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, you just have to accept that it's something new.
Okay.
And move forward,
Yeah.
And I think that's just a lot with art is sometimes, you have this big mistake and it's like, okay, like this isn't what was in my head, but it's going to be something new and let's create a new form from it. And that's kind of how you have to go with that. Otherwise, you'll just pull your hair out.
How long did it take you to get, confident enough from doing the small ones to doing something big?
Pretty quick. I like to work big. So
okay.
As soon
you
as
can
I
see
had
that
found,
from your mugs too.
Yeah. So as soon as I had found like a frame, this big frame, and I was like, all right, like I'm putting a big sucker in there, and just went for it. And I actually prefer the larger paintings now because you can get so much more in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like the small ones are cute and fun, but the big ones is just like you can really play with the light. You can really add a lot of information, and it just turns out so beautiful. Not to toot my own horn, but
no, they look good. Go ahead, toot your horn.
Yeah.
Where do you source all your frames from? Because each one has a pretty cool frame of the ones that you've done.
Thrifting. I'm a
thrifting.
big thrifter. Okay. Yeah, I love thrifting. That's I like rescuing old things. I've reeled it back. I have a horrible lamp, like a huge lamp collection.
Wait,
I have
huge
more lamps
or horrible?
than anyone. It's horrible, as in they're hanging in my shop. I have probably like 10 lamps in my living room. Like I have too many lamps, and if I go into a thrift store and there's a weird lamp, I'm gonna go home with the lamp. So it's like maybe don't go into the thrift stores. I have no room for my lamps. So.
Is the other half as tolerant about your lamps as mine is?
Yes,
my tiki mug?
Yes. He's a big collector too, so it's kind of like, I won't judge you, you don't judge me. I'm bringing in this lamp, you bring in those mugs, or Sofubi, soft vinyl toys. So we both have a lot of things we like to collect. So.
That's okay. That's okay. We have a question from Scotty. Scotty's asking if you use blacklight reactive paint on your velvet paintings.
I have never, but sometimes I work with colors that will react normally because I like them really bright. So I guess it's not specifically formulated to that, but they would definitely react in a black light. So.
And how did you go from the $1 million question, doing black velvets, to making ceramics?
Oh, it's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Where there was things that I wanted to see and I wanted to own, but weren't out there yet. And so, my husband kind of was like, you should do this. Like, you'd be good at it. I don't have a background in sculpting or ceramics or anything. And so we started small and just kind of trying out different mediums on sculpting and sculpting little toys and kind of moving up from there. And once I got the hang of it, I dove right in. So
you would never know, looking at some of your mugs, they weren't confident sculpting. It's not something that comes natural to everyone. Your mugs in the span of what you've learned in 1 year is crazy impressive.
Thank
congratulations.
you.
What medium for sculpting did you end up sticking with? What is it that resonated?
Monster clay. I had tried a bunch of different plastinas, and I hold the sculpt a lot while I'm working with it, and it becomes soft, and then like I can't get all the detail I want in. Whereas monster clay, specifically hard monster clay, really holds its shape as you're working with it. I had I got talked into trying alien clay, and although it does hold its shape really well, the finish work on it is the nightmare. So I've been mixing it with monster clay, and I do like it that way. But monster clay, if you're wanting to sculpt, like that's where it's at.
Yep. People get very opinionated about their material of sculpting. Like they will actively love and hate different brands. So it's always interesting to find out what works for some people. Monster clay, I think you can melt it and reuse it. Have you had much luck with that?
Yeah, I usually will be reusing almost everything. I have so many. I do a lot of sculpts at once because if I get frustrated with one, I can set it down and move on to the next. Otherwise, I end up like overworking and then hating what I'm working on, and so I kind of get like a system going. So yeah, I do have to reuse it, or I spend all my money on monster clay.
Variety is spicy. We like it. Yeah. Maybe that's how you're cranking out so many different designs. Seems like you always got like 7 or 8 different things going.
I do keep a lot going at once.
Did you struggle with undercuts in the beginning? Did you have a grasp for undercuts on molds and when it comes to making molds?
My husband does the mold making. I am not a patient person. He kind of handles almost everything, but like I'll do the sculpting. I clean up all the mugs. I glaze all the mugs. But he does all the mold making. He does the pouring and anything that's hard work. He's doing. And, I hunch over in a corner drinking coffee and like making art.
It's a good team though, but still you have to. So like when you're sculpting, you got to be cognizant of how you're sculpting to avoid those undercuts.
I do have to be. I get ahead of myself sometimes, and I'll kind of go way out with something, and he'll just pop by and kind of be like, "Hey, like that's gonna be a fucking nightmare, so please don't do that." So I'll, reshape it or kind of. I try to be aware now of what the form's going to be once it's in the mold, because it's when I go too far out, then it's like, okay, we're getting bubbles, we're getting, carve outs. Like the squid that I did, I had to redo because I had really gone overboard with that one. So
it's tricky. Anytime anyone does a squid, it always kind of turns into nightmare fuel for being a mug maker. Even Henrik, I think it's his only mug that he's scrapped halfway through.
Oh, you're kidding!
Production process, but he made I think it was called the tentacle tipple, which is it's just a tentacle, and you hold it. You can't set it down. Like the only way to drink is to hold it, kind of like a horn, Viking.
Yeah.
But he was hand applying the suckers I don't know what you call
Oh
them,
my
the stuckers,
God.
because of the undercuts on the mold. And it got to
Yeah.
me where it's just like, this is not worth it. So he ended up cutting that short. So actually, one of the rarest Fantiki mugs is his tentacle tipple
Oh
mug.
gosh. Yeah, no, I can understand it because it's with the one we had, it was like cutting pieces and then like you'd get bubbles sometimes in some of them. And so I made them fairly shallow and made sure to like angle them out. So, yeah.
The tricks, the little things you learn.
Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error, like a lot.
Do you use any strange tools in your sculpting? Anything
Oh
weird?
yes. Um,
Oh yes.
yes.
It sounded
I
like
am
Charles
such a,
Phoenix.
like,
Oh yeah.
it's like an old toenail I'm using. No, it's nothing that weird, but it's I use like guitar strings, and my husband will make them for me because I'm always like, okay, I'm trying to do this thing. Nothing I have will do it, and so he'll like come in and just like shape something up for me, or sometimes I'll just get the wire and use what is it, floral tape, and just tape it so I have the right shape for what I'm doing. So it's yeah, you work with what you got sometimes, but
Yeah.
yeah.
People sometimes, I think, new mug makers, they come in and maybe they make it a little more expensive than it necessarily has to be. With this, it's easy to see some of the professional mug makers out there using all these crazy cool things, being like, I need a spray booth, I need this, I need that.
Yeah.
What did you have? What was your I need this equipment in order to start making mugs in the beginning?
Ooh. Well, kiln, of course.
Kiln,
We
yes.
got
It would be
lucky.
kind of hard to make ceramics without a kiln.
Yeah. I didn't start, like, I already had an airbrush booth because we would paint vinyl toys. So I had that set up already. Yeah, because I'm already kind of an artsy person and we have so many hobbies, and my husband is was a carpenter. We had a shop full of stuff. So it was really like, let's get clay in a kiln.
There you go. And we're done. We're going.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah.
So you sculpt the mug. Your husband makes a mold, pours it. How much cleanup? Like how much time do you spend cleaning up each mug? If someone wants to know what to expect in this process.
It varies. It really varies. But if you can get a really good mold and your seams are really tight, your cleanup can be so quick. But sometimes shit happens, and you'll have little things. So there's certain mugs, like the bats are fairly easy for me to clean up, whereas my Rakuakubis, again, I had gotten ahead of myself with those mugs. They take a while. They take a while to clean up. They take a while to glaze. And it's funny, they're not very big and they're not very detailed, but something about the form, it just takes a while. So it's one of those, I think with anyone starting out, just don't be hard on yourself and understand like it takes time, and you'll learn the tricks that work for you, and, it'll get easier. It always gets easier. It has to get easier, right?
Do you find you get a lot faster? So like the first couple mugs that you're cleaning up, and then by the time you get to mug 40 or 50, you're just like,
Yeah, it's always
Edward Scissorhands in the
the
kiln
first
room.
few times it's like, okay, like you check your mug out, you make sure, like, do I have any weak spots first, especially around the opening. Like, again, sometimes I get out of control with the design of things, and there'll be, areas that'll, we had cracking in the beginning. So many mugs would have like hairline cracks on them, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and it was like, it was just a nightmare because I was like, what am I doing wrong? And now we kind of know, like, making sure you don't have weird points and you don't handle the greenware too roughly. Like, I'm not the most careful person. I am a rhinoceros of a human being. So, I have to be really careful with things. So, it's so much trial and error, People can give you as many tips as you'd like, and you'll still run into some bizarre hiccup. So,
The kiln can be cruel.
Oh my gosh, yes, can it ever? You know, there are times where you'll like have perfect fires, and then like one day it'll be like half the, you know, kiln is just kind of like, we're not gonna do what you want this time.
Yep.
So
this goes back to Henrik. He's come up several times, but I guess you're in the Pacific Northwest, so it makes
yeah.
I talked to him a few years ago, and he hates opening the kiln. It's one of his least favorite things. So he sometimes has to have Mrs. Van Tiki open the kiln for him to just kind of take a look and see what the results are. Do you look forward to opening the kiln, or do you dread it like Henrik?
Usually I look forward to it, but if we've encountered issues, then I'm like, no, just leave it. Just roll it out back. We're done with it. We don't need the kiln anymore. Like, move on. Like, don't open it, lock it. But, you know, usually I'm very excited, especially if I have like a new color of something that I was playing with. I just, you know, I get really excited about those.
What's the longest you've ever just left it? Like, I'm just not even going to go look.
Probably 2 days.
2 days?
Yeah. There's probably been a time where it's like, I think 2 days was just kind of like, it doesn't matter. Like, if they're ruined, they're ruined.
It's kind of like Schrodinger's cat at that point, right? Like, as soon as you open it, then you know. But until you open it, they could be beautiful. So
yeah. Normally it's good, but it's just like, you know, I think the hardest part is when you encounter a new problem, because there's always, you know, like, okay, sometimes there's issues with the slip and your underglaze will chip a little, or, you know, maybe your mug wasn't dry enough, so there's a crack in it somewhere. But then when like something wild and new happens, you're like, are you fucking serious? Like, something new? I didn't plan for this. And then it's like, you know, you'll reach out to people and see if anyone else had that issue, and sometimes no one has had that issue. You're the only one. So it's
the only one that you know.
Yeah.
Guaranteed someone else has had that issue, but, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of mug makers out there.
Yeah, there really is. It's been nice to have access to so many people to be able to troubleshoot with and like run things by with. So
what are some of your favorites? Ceramic mug makers out there. Let's do some shout outs. People that have helped.
Of course I love Monk Tiki, you know, a lot of the stuff that he does, especially because we're big into like safubi, that style of, you know, glazing to where it looks like a toy. Like, I love that. The brighter the colors, the better. You know, Van Tiki, especially like, because he used to do like on set special effects.
Yes.
And so it's just like, I love watching him sculpt. I would love to pick his brain about stuff, you know. You know, I really like seeing what everyone's doing. I really love seeing kind of people moving away from what we see so often. I think it's Ricky Cat Tiki.
Yeah, Christine.
I might have butchered her. Okay, Christine. She did that little gecko guy, and I was like, man, like, this is so fun, and it's something that I haven't really like seen before. And it's just like, anytime something comes up that's very new, it's just like, all right, like, this is so rad. Like, I love what you're doing. Like, keep doing that.
You definitely have pushed the envelope with some of your designs, and I mean that like it's something that I haven't seen before. Maybe we should pull a couple of them up. I'm obsessed with cats. I love cats. You've done a cat mug called Meow Shroom. Maybe we can pull up a copy of Meow Shroom. Look at that little guy there. So what's the story behind Meow Shroom?
We did it for Game of Shrooms. I was only gonna. Are you familiar?
The Game of Shroom, is that like Game of Thrones, but Game of Shrooms?
No one was murdered that I know of. But so it is a worldwide event where bunch of artists create mushroom themed art, and then you go and hide it, and then You
Oh,
map
nice.
out where you've hidden it, and then people go and find it. And so I was only going to do a few and just hide them around the Pacific Northwest. Like I said, I love mushroom hunting. So I'm like, this is totally my favorite crossover. But so many people liked them. So I made more to be able to people who weren't in the Pacific Northwest could have access to them. So.
I have to say that does sound more appealing than a medieval bloodbath.
Yeah. Just poisoning people with mushrooms all over the world.
Another one that you've got coming up, we talked a little bit about it, was the poisoned sake.
Yeah, so that one is just that specific. The poison squid was for Halloween. This is going to be just the sake squid. So we will do a full run of them, but I had discussed with you earlier, we're wanting to get underglaze or just transfers of some sort in order to decorate the sake barrel. So
front,
once we get
right?
that, because
so these ones are like hand carved, right?
Yeah, I just hand carved those ones and glazed it on, which is cool looking, but it's a process, and it's like I really wouldn't be able to offer those at a price point where I feel like would be accessible to everybody if I did them that way.
Yep.
So
that's one of the big things in Tiki over many years. The costs just keep going up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And a lot of the designs warrant it. They're super complicated designs. You look at, Smuggler's Cove just announced one for $300. That's with Shag, super cool mug. Strongwater Anaheim's got a $450 Kevin and Jody mug, another super cool mug coming out. But a lot of your mugs are still pretty affordable prices. So I have to give you credit for keeping mug collecting affordable. I appreciate it, because it makes it easier to collect art. What are some ways that you're able to keep prices down, or how do you price your mugs?
We take into account like materials spent and time spent. I work fairly fast normally, so that kind of like helps with it's like, okay, this is how much I feel like my time is worth, but I can get through so many in this amount of time. But I guess it's really important to me that I don't completely outprice people, because I do like things being more accessible. I'm not poo-pooing anyone who charges a lot, because it's like, you're worth that. And, the effort that goes into making these can be a lot. So.
Oh, for sure. And people, there's that saying, just because something's out of your budget doesn't mean it's not worth it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's tons of amazing mugs that are worth every penny, and they're very expensive mugs. But at the end of the day, like, there is in order to get people into the hobby, they have to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And so it's great when there's an artist like you who's doing those small batch, colorful, fun designs that aren't, as affordable as the bar mugs, but they're still reasonable for most of the collectors out there. So
yeah, I try to keep it in mind. And when I'm doing colorways, I try to offer kind of like, I want this bright and pretty, but I want to make sure more people can have access to it. So maybe I'm not going to put as much detail into it as I will, another one. And then I just kind of will have a variation on the site. And that way.
Different tiers of mugs, range of prices.
Yeah, I just want other people to be, I know how hard it can be, and it's like I don't want somebody like going broke because they want something really badly, but at the same time, it's like we still got to make money, so it's a hard line to be walking.
Do I pay my rent, or do I get that?
I don't need the power. It's fine.
One of the things that a lot of mug makers seem to have issues with in the kiln is glazes kind of not working together. They fire at different rates, and maybe they expand at different rates. Do you keep your glaze brands like the same on a mug, or are there ways to know which glazes will work with others?
a lot of trial and error. I was using several different brands at first, and while I didn't have issues with incompatibility, I just noticed certain brands were more consistent than others.
Okay.
Sorry. So, like I usually just use Mako. Like I said, my background is more in painting, and I found that with their underglazes, they work more like paints. Like they blend better. I can mix the colors and get a shade I want, and be able to easily project what it's going to look like. And if I have issues, it's like I can go to one place to be like, oh, this is happening. Why is this happening?
Explain it to me.
Yeah. But you do have to really, make sure like the clay you're working with is a same firing temp as the glazes you're working with, and like really, be aware of all that. My husband pays attention to that, though.
There you go. I have heard that people sometimes prefer working with the underglazes because it is a little bit more like painting. Can you explain what the difference of like underglazes versus regular glazes is?
Yeah. So an underglaze is. Are you familiar with like slip?
Yeah.
Okay. So it kind of is like a colored slip. So you put it on your piece and can fire it, and it stays in place. It does not move because it doesn't. It won't get glossy. It doesn't, react as strongly as like a glaze will. A lot of times with glazes, they're glossier. You can get matte ones, but they move. So, you paint it on, but once it heats up and it starts to, vitrify, there's my dogs, great.
Hi. Hey,
Camel Pastroni.
Hello.
They escaped. But it'll turn to glass and it'll move. And so depending on the shape of your piece, it can react in different ways. Hi, buddy. So it can be less predictable because it's like once it's in the kiln, it's in the kiln's hand.
Yep.
If it drips, if it seals to the floor, like, you don't know what's going to happen. So to me, like the underglazes, they're just more predictable.
Are there any cons to the underglazes?
I would say yes, but only because you have, if you like put too much on when you fire it, it doesn't latch to your piece. So you'll get it out of the kiln and then suddenly you see little bubbles and then it starts to crumble off and you're just like,
oh no.
Yeah, you can ruin entire, or sometimes there's always slip issues, if it doesn't react well to the slip, I've never had that issue with a glaze, but I have had that issue with underglazes. But it's, there's some people who work only with glazes and they do such beautiful work. And I'm like, I think you're a wizard. Like, how are you getting these results?
Totally. So this mug, this is called the Breaker. I believe.
These are the Halloween ones.
This is one of those designs that was just like, to me, it's such a cool idea with all these like ghosts, the souls making up the waves in the skulls. Where'd you get the idea for this one?
So this is actually from my auntie. We were in Hawaii and she was yelling at us, you don't turn your back on the ocean.
Okay.
There's a tourist. I saw him get their neck snapped by a wave. Like, don't turn your back, pay attention. And so that's just kind of like her golden rule is you watch what the water is doing. And so that was kind of like a play on that,
And then this one's one of your probably more tiki designs. Is it Vogue or VOG? How do you pronounce this one?
Vogue. So Vogue is the on the Big Island, when the volcano is starting to become active, volcanic steam, smoke comes out, and it looks like fog. It looks like clouds, up in the mountains, but it's actually fog, and so that's where that word comes from. And so instead of doing a Pele mug, I was like,
I was going to ask, so I assume that's Pele because it's a volcano.
Yeah. The fog you deal with more than the actual lava,
And these ones you've done some crazy color schemes of. I think those are completely sold out at this point, right? Or
they are done.
One-offs.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do another one. Like, we have just tried all the molds we had, and they might be done forever.
Yeah. So there's a super rare low tiki mug that people now.
Yeah. If you have a mug.
The mermaid, I believe, is fairly new.
It is. I only did a very small run. We were gonna do something larger, but we were heading into Maui to see my auntie for her birthday, so I was like, let's just do something small so we're not overwhelmed with orders. But I do intend to release them in new colors probably next month.
This is one of those ones where I'm looking at it and like all the texturing on the seashells and the balls at the bottom. Did you use anything weird to do the texturing on these ones?
No, this one was really it was a lot of fun. I think the only thing different I used was ball bearings in order to get the pearls at the bottom. I just pushed them into the clay because it was like I wanted the texture, but I was like, if I'm having to sculpt all of these, I'm just gonna give up.
You'd be crazy.
Yeah.
And then this is the one you're drinking out of tonight.
The Opiapea.
Baddie one. How is it pronounced?
Opiapea.
Opiapea?
Or Opio. Yeah. It's Opepea. It's the Hawaiian hoary bat. It's the only native species, mammal to the island.
There we go. There, put it at the bottom. And then you got a spooky moth. We've got a local barfly here in Boston, the Boston area, who's terrified of moths. So of course, as soon as I saw this mug, I just sent it to him. Because I'm that guy. He's like, not another moth. But yeah, these are awesome now, and people can still get these, right? I think there's some
the gray ones available. Everything else is sold out. The purple sold out, the orange and the full color. But there are still a few grays left. They're also, I love these mugs. So I am going to be doing, I want to do Christmas colors.
Ooh.
So we're playing around with Christmas colorways of them.
Is it too early? When is it too early to start decorating for Christmas?
Oh, God. I believe in no such thing.
No such thing? Oh.
My sister lives a couple blocks down and she already has her Christmas lights up. I was like, dude, Halloween, this. Yeah, I don't judge, celebrate whatever holidays you want whenever you want.
And this one, of course, this is the mug we're going to be giving away later
I love
tonight.
this mug.
This is a terrifying mug in some ways.
Yeah,
she's done them in many colors.
Point. Yeah, she is an amalgamation of human fear. That's the story of her. So she was meant to be creepy.
Perfect for 13 Nights of Tiki Frights.
Yeah,
that green one I think was a Halloween one-off, right? Where it kind of the purple. Is this the one that you were saying is a pain to clean up?
Yeah, I decided with these ones they'll only be one-of-ones from now on because they are a process. But I love these mugs. It's one of my favorite yokais. The form of it, I just was really happy with it. I love the mug, but it's kind of a pain to clean up. So
this one, I think you can do bubble glazing where you literally use like a straw, right?
Yeah, it really was. I mixed my underglaze with dish soap and then just like put it in a cup and blew bubbles and just covered it in bubbles. I layered them so it was different colors. So there's a very light sea foam and then a black grayish color over the top.
That's got to be so fun.
Yeah,
that must be one of the ones that you look forward to pulling from the kiln, I would think.
Yes. No,
Yes.
those always turn. They're just always excited to, they always turn out beautiful.
And then these guys, what's the story on these ones? These are pretty gnarly.
Yeah, these are the Mekubi. So this is, another yokai story specific to an area where 3 samurai come into town and they proceed to get very drunk and they get into a fight. And in the midst of the fight, they draw their swords and they cut each other's heads off. But the fight hadn't been finished, so the heads rolled into the sea, still fighting, and they emerged and began to bite and spit fire at each other. So in that area, when the waves are really rough, they say it's the Mekubi are out there fighting, so don't go out fishing, because it's bad luck. So,
is this related to the heads in Spirited Away, or is that completely different?
Those, they might be actually. They are supposed to stay within the water.
That's the only reason why I think.
Yeah, there are several. It very well. I'd have to look that up.
Maybe there's an exception for bathhouses. It's not water.
Yeah, any form of water where they're fighting.
Was this your first mug?
It was. This one's my first mug. The Gula Hula.
Gula Hula.
Yeah.
You did a bunch of different ones of these too. Like this is a full color one. That seems like a lot of work.
Yeah. The full color ones are usually quite a bit of work, so I keep them much smaller.
How many Gula Hulas exist out there in the world?
Oh, let's see. Probably less than 60. I think I kept the runs really small. I sold a few. I brought a few with me to TikiCon, but I kept them pretty small because we were still learning everything, and I didn't want to get overwhelmed, and so we released them on the 13th, and I think I only released 13 at first.
Ooh, spooky! I like the number 13. That's a good sound to it.
Yeah.
Maybe 13 nights or 13 frights, something like that.
It just works well.
We actually haven't this year talked too much about Halloween in general. What does Halloween look like for you? Are you a big Halloween nut?
I am. So my sister's birthday is on Halloween, and mine's 4 days later. So we always celebrated our birthdays with a big Halloween party every year.
Okay.
And so like into adulthood, we would always, big Halloween parties. My best friend and I used to throw giant Halloween parties. Everyone's kind of moved away, but
oh no!
Yeah. We're gonna head over this year and like hang out with friends and celebrate. But it's always been one of my favorite times of year. Like I'm very short, and so I trick or treated until I was like 20. No one said anything, so I'm like I can get away with it.
I had
wear a mask now.
The unfortunate upbringing of my father would bring me to the nursing home to go trick or treating, and of course when you
pennies, Necco wafers,
throw the candy in your bag, right? And you'd come home with this big bag, and then you'd pour it out at home, and you'd be rifling through it, and like the candy would have Santa Claus on it. I'd be like,
it's been around a while.
That's got to be old. They're getting me the Santa Claus and the Valentine's Day candy.
Yeah.
In your Halloween parties, or just maybe your costumes, did yokai ever make a?
No, oftentimes I just kind of do something goofy. Like my husband and I think it was last year, we were the married news couple, which is like a Tim and Eric sketch. I guess it's just kind of like whatever. I don't ever go too far out, but I do like to, dress up. we haven't figured out exactly what we're doing this year because we've been so busy, but we'll find something.
We appreciate it. We like the mugs. We like
Yeah.
the mugs. You did some cocktail picks. This is random. You did some cocktail picks that are pretty cool. How did those come about? What are they made with?
So they're made with the food safe resin. And it's like I said, when we first started out, when I was first learning to sculpt, I would do like small toys, like just small figurines. And so we wanted to be able to do that in some way. We had tried stirring picks, and we had found a food safe material, but they just didn't hold up very well. They took a long time to produce, and so we wanted, what else could we do? So we went with the food picks, and they turned out really great. We are going to be releasing more of them because I have more new sculpts to do with them, so we'll have all sorts of little characters.
I'm going to see if I can pull one of them up here.
I might have one.
Right there. Look at those guys.
Yeah, they are.
Those are I don't remember what the name is. The umbrellas. Monk Tiki did one of those mugs.
Yeah.
It has eluded me for the longest time.
Yeah, is it? I'd have to look it up. Casa. I always forget. Casa Omake, I believe.
The umbrellas.
Yeah.
And theirs have like just these really big feet sticking out at the bottom.
Yeah. So traditionally, it's a one-footed. In a lot of the illustrations, it's 1 foot, but he did one with kind of like wrestler legs. Oh, my husband. We have one of the bugs. Who's
no! Yours has 2 feet.
Yeah, so it's got the wrestler lower half.
I have never seen that before.
Yeah, no, this is one of our favorites.
Rub it in. Rub it in. See how you are. I'm super excited. You did I forget how it's pronounced, but the woman with the lantern in her lap, and I saw her and I was like, ooh, I really want
the Rikukubi.
That's cool, but I really just want the lantern, a big lantern, and then
did you see my
look at these? Oh my god.
I just did the other glazes on them. They're huge. They're such like a good size. I had so much fun glazing those today. I've been working on mermaids and bats all day, and I was like, I have these ready to go, so I'm just gonna do a couple underglazes. So,
when might the first ones emerge?
So I'll have full examples of them probably tomorrow after the kiln cools off. That I'll share. I'm shooting for next month, but it might not be until December. So we will see.
I'll wait.
I am so
excited
about them.
If someone wants one of those bugs, they're going to have to be quick because make sure I'm connected to my PC. I'm going to have a wired connection, and I'm going to be ready to go.
Sometimes things go pretty fast, and I think I have a couple colors that I want to do. I still want to do a green one, and I have this really great opalescent top coat. So I want to do a white one that's opalescent, and so I'll just play around with them. But I had so much fun with those ones, and it's one of my favorite characters. So yeah. I'm really excited about that, buddy.
So we're on overtime as always.
Oh no!
I do want to congratulate you on an epic first year.
Thank you.
You really came swinging and made some super cool designs.
Oh, thank you so much.
Do you have, with that said, any advice for someone who wants to get into mugs today? Where do they go? How do they learn?
Oh, gosh. I would say, watch tutorials, watch a lot of, reach out to other artists, Tiki Rob has always been really kind. Like, I don't want to overload him with people, but like he's such a nice guy, Van Tiki has great videos you can watch, because at the end, sculpting is one of those things where it's like you really just got to find what works for you. But mold making is more of a science, where it's just like it's something best to like learn and watch. But
Yep.
I would say the first thing is find the best medium to sculpt in for yourself and go from there. So
Agree with that. So
Yeah.
sort of find, do the sculpting, find the medium, figure that out, then watch Van Tiki videos. And if you have any questions left over, then maybe hit Tiki Rob, but not.
Yeah, go harass Rob. But most people who, make mugs have been so like open and wonderful. So it's just like it truly is a very like kind group of people.
Yes.
So it's if you are gonna do it, like I would say, find your niche, do something really interesting, something different. Like if you haven't seen it out there and you want to see it, then make it. And just go from there.
And I will say, a lot of mug makers, super, super helpful, kind, nice, except if you make their mugs. So if you have something that's really cool and unique, save yourself some time. Go to tiki.com or Google or wherever you want to go and just check to make sure that it hasn't already been done.
It's funny. My mermaid mug, I forgot this sculpt, the artist who made it, but is it Tiki Land? They're producing it, and they had reached out and they were like, "Hey, we have this kind of a similar mug," and I was just like, "Oh man, like I feel terrible. I was not aware of this," but it was one of those where it was just like it's different enough. Like
I mean, it does happen, and particularly in Tiki, like we're all pulling from similar source material. So at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of mugs, and inevitably, it's like movies, right? There was a season of blockbusters, like I don't know, 6-7 years ago, where everything was robots. It was like Transformers, Pacific Rim. And it happens. Like people are passionate about the same things. It's gonna happen.
It's like you get excited about something, especially like you can see something and be like, oh, like I love this, but I'd love to see it like this. And it's just like, for me, it's like, if you're doing something, as long as it's not a direct copy, like make it your own, change it enough, like use it as inspiration, don't use it as a template sort of thing. So, but yeah, I would say 100%. Do something totally different.
With that said, I think we should give away this amazing Low Tiki mug. We're going to give this away. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about, where people can go to follow you, where they can buy your mugs, what that looks like. And then, guys, we're going to announce, we're going to say goodbye to Low Tiki. And then we're going to announce our next mug in the Cast versus Tiki Icons series. So with that said, let's take a closer look at this Low Tiki mug before we announce the winner. Guys, the winner is, drum roll, congratulations to, this one came from Instagram, at Ms. Tiki Queen. At Ms. Tiki Queen, you have won this Low Tiki mug. Congratulations. Once again, the winner of tonight's mug giveaway is from Instagram. The handle is at Ms. Tiki Queen. You have won a mug. Please email me at admin@searchfortiki.com within 14 days to claim your prize. That's admin@searchfortiki.com. And Sam, where do people go to follow you? What's the best place to stay in touch with what you got going on?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's just LowTiki. I did create a Facebook, but it's mostly just copying stuff onto Facebook.
I'm the same way.
Instagram. It's just like it exists, but it's just like I'm an insufferable millennial. I'm on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook, but I do keep my Instagram up to date. I try to be really good about responding. People reach out quite often, so you can get a hold of me on there. You can email me also, but yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, I try to keep updated on the sculpts I'm working on, new mugs that are on the way, updates on mugs that will be shipping soon, that sort of thing.
All these cool things. Check it out, guys. Give Low Tiki some love and a follow. And then if you want to buy Low Tiki mugs, the web address is pretty easy to remember. It's lowtiki.com.
That's right.
And then there are 2 sections here, products, all, and one-of-ones. And if we go to all...
I have a yokai section too, but I might have moved that around while I'm doing my Halloween stuff. So
sneaky.
Yeah.
I think these are all sold out with the exception of this one right now. You can still pick up one of these guys.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'll have I think 4 or 5 one-of-ones listed. I have 2 Raku Akubis, 2 breakers, and a sake squid that'll be listed tomorrow.
Do you do kind of surprise drops, or do you always announce your drops?
I announce them. I'll usually do like a couple days notice. And I try to keep it on Fridays. So if I do it, it'll be a Friday at 5 Pacific Standard Time. But I try to give good heads up. I'm really bad about it.
All right, so maybe a mixture. Make sure you're following, set up the notifications, but also maybe just, periodically refresh the website.
Watch for smoke signals.
Let's be real. If you're a tiki mug collector, you're probably already doing that on eBay.
Yeah.
Keyword terms. So at LowTiki on Instagram, lowtiki.com. That's where you go to purchase the mugs. We got that cool mug coming up, the lantern mug, some spooky stuff. Be on the lookout for all that stuff. And Sam, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Congratulations on your first year.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So many. Do you even have any idea how many designs you did?
No, we were thinking about trying to add them up and find them all, but I don't know. I was flying through them.
That's how you know how impressive your first year at making cocktail mugs was, because you have no idea how many.
I have no clue how many I did. Yeah, I'll count them up. I will post how many.
And with that said, thank you so much. We're gonna announce a cat mug, but thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll stay in touch. Absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, guys. All right. Who's ready? Who's ready for us to announce a new mug? I'm ready. This is a huge part of the Search for Tiki history. One of the very first mugs we made was Bad Kitty. Bad Kitty was designed for us by Doug Horn. And this little cat on the side is actually a homage to my cat, Juju, also Pumpkin, who's gotten a little bit chonkier than this cat, but that's okay. And this is a classic Andreas Bumate carving, epic tiki carving. Look up the history. It's one of my favorite carvings. So this one is a cat defiling a Bumate carving. We made this one. It was a huge success, sold out right away. And so we wanted to make another one. We wanted to keep it going. The next mug we made was Tiki Bobcat. And right here, we got Tiki Bob's face. And of course, if you're a cat owner, they like to, unfortunately, put their butt on everything and defile things, with their booty. So of course, it came with a Surfside sip, reusable glass cocktail straw that you would put on the top. This mug was kind of a homage to the World War II culture. I can remember my grandfather, he would have, little matchbooks, and you open up and they would have dirty jokes from his time in World War II. And that was just a part of that. So huge thank you to both Doug Horn and Kim Bang for designing these mugs. This one was sculpted by Jay over at Lost Idols Company. This one was sculpted by Dave Squid Cohen. So the question naturally comes up. If we did 2 mugs, there's got to be 3, right? So what is the third cat versus tiki icon mug? Dave Squid Cohen, who sculpted the Tiki Bobcat mug, he wanted to design one for us as well, so it was a natural fit. So we had the opportunity to work with Dave again. Dave has been in the industry for years. He's probably sculpted over, 200 mugs. He was with Tiki Farm in the beginning. Truly epic stuff. And so we wanted to choose a new tiki that we could kind of defile with a cat. And so we came up with, let's see, I'm going to show you the back first. You can see it. Here's the back. Here's the opening, nice big opening in the back. And we'll give you the side profile here. And if you haven't guessed already, over here, it is the Tahitian cannibal carvings. This is called the Catable mug. And it was designed and sculpted by Dave Squid Cohen exclusively for the Search for Tiki. Right there on the bottom. This is going to be the third mug in the series, the Catable. We're super excited about it. We are not doing pre-orders. These are going on sale right away on Monday. Pull up the information. This Monday, October 23rd at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The Catable will go on sale. If you are a subscriber or a member of our Patreon, you will get early access. You will get 10% off. There's a couple slots left. So if you really want it, you want the discount, you can go subscribe to our Patreon now and get early access to the mug. Otherwise, it's going to go on sale this Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The Catable. And let's see if I can show you a couple more photos. We'll pull it up here. Right here. There he is in a cave. Yes. And we got him rifling through the trees. And this is a good one. Right here, the Catable. So guys, this is going to be the third mug in our Cats versus Tiki Icon series. It is the Catable. It was designed and sculpted by Dave Squid Cohen. It's going to go on sale October 23rd at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Unless you're a Patreon subscriber, then you get early access. And it's going to be limited to 500 mugs. And we're going to keep the price affordable, just like our other cat mugs. It's going to be a $65 mug, so $64.99 plus shipping. You're going to be able to buy it at thesearchfortiki.com, as always, thesearchfortiki.com. And guys, we're super excited about this mug. I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. We've been looking forward to releasing it for a couple years. It's been 2 years in the making since Tiki Bobcat. And we had a blast talking to LowTiki. As always, we're sponsored by Plantation Rum. Plantation Rum supports all of our cocktails, our giveaways, everything. They've been a huge support to 13 Nights of Tiki Frights the past couple of years. Holden Westland over at Tiki Farm, he's been a huge support of the Search for Tiki, sponsors 13 Nights of Tiki Frights every year. And then also Don the Beachcomber. Don the Beachcomber is coming back to Florida in a big way. They've announced a phased opening of multiple locations in Florida and beyond. And we got to talk to both Holden Westland and Marie King earlier this month about Tiki Farm and Don the Beachcomber, respectively. So guys, go check out those videos. If you haven't, hit subscribe on YouTube, please. We have many cool artists coming up for the rest of October, including Freaky Deaky Tiki, which is going to be on this Sunday. We're going to be talking to him about monster mugs and set the date for this Monday, October 23rd, when we release Catable into the wild. Cheers, guys, and we'll see you on Sunday.